Let's face it, the dollar just isn't what it used to be. That's why people like you and me, we gotta be careful to get the most value for our money. That's why I come here, Taco Bell. I can feed my whole family for $5.59. 2 tacos, 2 bean burritos, 2 tostadas, pintos and cheese, soft drinks, only $5.59. Like they're saying, Taco Bell. What a meal, what a deal. No kidding. Taco Bell.
Alrighty. Let's do this. Welcome to the Deadman Horror Show. Now on this show, on this program, we talked about many weird, bizarre things. We have explored together some crazy serial killers. We've explored together that some people still continue acts of cannibalism, like as just like a thing they do. We've even explored that people believe not only in ghosts, but that they can have intercourse with ghosts and even marry them and then divorce them because you can't marry a ghost. It just doesn't work out. So sad. But in this episode, we're going to be exploring something maybe a little bit easier to digest. Roaches. Actually, no, it's not. They're absolutely disgusting. They're absolutely vile. There's a reason why it's a common phobia. There's a reason why people are sickened and disgusted by these insects. It's because they carry diseases, because they're just disgusting and filthy. Where you see one, you know there's 100 more. And if you see 100 and you just see 2, 5, 10 in an environment, you know the place is filthy and disgusting. Get rid of those things. Like our fear of these critters, not even critters, our fear of these insects, it has to come from evolution. It has to come. It's so deeply ingrained in us that it has to be practically in our DNA at that point. I mean, there's exceptions. There's some people who seem to love them, I guess. I tried to see if I could find that bizarre story, someone who's like actually like aroused by roaches. That I did not find. But I have some crazy stories about infestations and roaches eating people alive. There's some stories I didn't want to include in this episode, like stories of roaches killing babies. I figured that might be a little too much. But know that roaches are horrible. They're disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Let's talk a little bit more about the fear of roaches, where this comes from. There's various reasons. There's disgust. Absolute disgust. Because many people find roaches to be disgusting creatures due to their appearance, their behavior, and association with just unsanitary environments. This could lead to an aversion towards them and a fear of coming in contact with them. You know? A woman will scream, "Ah!" a roach, and, call for the man to kill that thing. And then realizing that the man is also squirmish around roaches, and he screams like a little baby, and then it's just so sad. Definitely not to talk about personal experience there. But negative experiences. Some people have some really bad experiences with these things. If someone has had a negative experience with a roach, such as being bitten, they can bite you. It is possible. Roaches are omnivores, which means they they eat plants and meat. If given the opportunity, a roach will bite you. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, they have been recorded to eat human flesh, both living and dead. And we have a story here. We have a story here about this. Let's talk about that story real fast. This story is insane. The first story is a doozy. The first story we're going to get into tonight is pretty bad. Okay. Very graphic. There's your warning if you needed that. A bedridden woman was found living in squalor in her home in northern Georgia. And this is a real story. You could fact check. You can fact check any of these stories here tonight, okay? This woman was partly decomposing, covered in cockroaches and maggots. Let me make sure I pronounce that clearly so YouTube doesn't flag the stream as being homophobic or whatever. Maggots. It just rhymes with another word. Yet, this woman was alive. This woman was still alive. Found living and decomposing with cockroaches eating her leg. First responders discovered the woman, and she was in her 50s, or is in her 50s. I believe she's still alive. Hopefully. I don't know. I mean, after responding to a call about an unresponsive person last week at the home in Buffard, about 40 miles outside Atlanta. Authorities described the scene as deplorable, with garbage piled nearly to the ceiling, roaches scaling the walls, and the woman bedridden and obese, showing the signs of decomposition on her legs. Now, there's more to this. There's more. There's a little bit of backstory to this. This is not the first time. It's not the first time responders have been to this home. Okay. Let's see. Gwinnett County firefighters said that about a month ago, they transported Tracy Sorrells, which is the woman, using a tarp designed for obese patients. So she was so fat, they had to use a tarp to transport her. Okay? Like, you may wonder, how do firefighters and EMS workers transport someone who's like 400 plus pounds? How do they do that? The same way you transport a well. You think outside the box, okay? And if that offends you, well, I mean, who cares? I mean, let's get over it. I mean, the people who are doing the heavy lifting would be the firefighters and the EMS workers, okay? All right? Shit. Okay? Give them a break for a change. Put down the burgers. Put down the McDonald's. You don't have to stuff your face with Ho-Hos and Big Macs 24/7. How about just stop? Just don't do that. And I would imagine if you live in a roach-infested home, live in squalor, that you'd be so disgusted you wouldn't eat and just starve and go on a diet, essentially, by fasting. But no. Apparently, even within the squalor with the roaches everywhere on the walls, on the appliances, falling from the ceiling. I mean, we're talking about swarms of roaches. Have you ever seen a swarm of roaches, what it looks like when they're on the walls and the corners and they're brooding? they're moving together as one organism. It's like all the roaches get together and they just start moving in a collection and brooding. Like the orgy is going all over the wall, and they're falling from the ceiling. They're on the floor. They're getting, the moment you step into the house, they're crawling on your feet, on your leg. They're on your freaking notepad. It's just like, just disgusted. And yet people, even in that environment, still can't stop stuffing their face. Sad. But let's get more into the story. So, yes, firefighters have responded to this home before, a month ago from this story, but before this story. And they used a tarp designed for obese patients. And then when they returned to the home for this incident, she was still lying on the same tarp. They hadn't moved this woman. And this tarp was thoroughly soiled. Like, this woman in her late 50s has been laying on this same tarp, just shitting and pissing herself. And you may want to ask, I thought the story was about roaches. It sounds like the story is about neglect, which is abuse. Just who is watching, who's caring for this woman? What's going on? That is a part of it. Yeah, that is a good question. But it is about roaches. You see, it got so bad. It got so bad that her body started decomposing. Her leg just started decomposing. And you know what loves to eat decomposing flesh? Maggots and roaches. Lots of them. Swarms of them. This is, I told you, this is a dark story. I told you this is a very dark story. I was not playing games with you there. If you made it past this, that was the doozy. All right. Do you want to know if it has a happy ending? I mean, what sort of happy ending are you looking for here? That the people that were supposed to take care of her, like her husband and her adult son, what were they doing the whole time? They were living in the home. What were they doing the whole time? Nothing. I mean, what else would... I mean, there's no excuse for that. Yeah, they were arrested. They were arrested and they were charged with abuse. So there is that. But yeah, that is a crazy story. There's a quote here from, I believe, the firefighters that responded. One of them says, during the process of moving the patient, the fire service noticed the patient's legs were completely black, showing signs of active decomposition, and their maggots and roaches were attached to her, eating her flesh. So let's get into some other stories. Some other roach infestation stories. Disgusting things. True things of horror here. By the way, there's not that many horror movies about roaches. That's how disgusting they are. No one really wants to see a swarm of roaches on the screen. It's just absolutely vile. But there's some. There's The Nest. Okay. A movie about genetically altered roaches, cockroaches, that terrorize a small town in New England. That movie is an 80s movie. There is a panty scene, but then it's just ruined by a bunch of roaches. I mean, they thought it would be smart, be kind of cool to put a sex scene with a bunch of roaches. Absolutely disgusting. Would not watch. Then there's the classic Creep Show. If you read the comic, you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But let's get back into this. Let's get back into this disgusting stuff. So, a roach-eating woman. In 2012, a woman in Florida claimed to have an addiction to eating roaches. She would spend hours hunting and consuming thousands of them each day. Her addictions led to severe health problems, including anemia and malnutrition. Like, you shouldn't eat roaches. Like, you shouldn't do that, okay? They're disgusting. They do carry disease. They have bacteria that can lead to salmonella or strep, okay? It's not a good idea to eat them. They exist to eat what's decaying, what's rotting. They'll eat shit. They'll eat the scum of the earth. So why would you eat that? Why would you eat that? The cockroach farm in 2016. Let's talk about this. In 2016, authorities discovered a cockroach farm in a suburban home in Sydney, Australia. The house was infested with millions of cockroaches, millions of little freaking fucking cockroaches, and the residents had been breeding them for several years. The insects have been sold to local restaurants then. Look at that. Sold to local restaurants. Eat the bugs, you stupid people. Eat the bugs. If you're one of those people who want to just eat bugs, eat roaches, no one can fix you. If you're at that point to where you're wanting to eat fried roaches and you're telling me it's good with a straight face, you're done. No, like you're too far gone, man. No, some things you just don't have to try. You don't need to try it before you knock it. The whole phrase, a little stupid maxim that you probably heard when you were a kid: don't knock it until you try it. Wow, you don't have to try heroin to know it's not a good idea. You could just go down and see the homeless people and see how they're acting. You don't have to try flocka or crocodile to know it's not a good idea. You don't have to try fentanyl to know it's not a good idea. You most certainly don't have to eat roaches to know that it's not a good idea. So, you can just say don't do that. The Roach Hotel. In 2018, there was a Roach Hotel in China. It was forced to shut down after guests reported a massive roach infestation. Videos and images posted online showed thousands of roaches crawling on the walls, floor, and beds. I would show you that on the screen, but you don't want to see that. Yeah, you could go, dude. Every time I'm telling you is real. This is true stuff. Some of these stories are hard to find, but they're there. They're there. Let's see, the roach infestation, another one. In 2019, a family in New Jersey was forced to flee their apartment due to a severe roach infestation. The insects were found in every room, including the kitchen, bedrooms, and living room. The family claimed that infestation started after their neighbor moved and left behind piles of garbage. Here's the thing about apartments, man. If you live in an apartment, it doesn't matter how clean you keep your apartment. If there's someone on your unit, depending on what your apartment complex is. If it's like one whole building, it just takes one room to screw over everybody. If you're in those sort of apartment complex where it's different units, you better hope that every apartment in that unit is clean. Chances probably not, because some people don't give a damn about living with roaches. I mean, it may surprise you to hear that. Some people just do not care. They don't care. There's people out there that, like, they'll live in the squalor. They'll live in the filth. They're not bothered by swarms on the wall, crawl on the wall, on the floor. They're not bothered by roaches in their refrigerator. Let's see it as a common thing. I see a roach, I want to gas the whole house. Some people see a roach, and I don't know. Something's wrong with their head. They just don't care. They gave up on life. If you have one of them at your apartment, you're screwed, because you're going to get a lot of roaches. It's just gonna, horrible. So this story is something that's very relatable. Okay? Absolutely relatable. And it's a freaking nightmare to deal with. Have you guys ever walked into a home and it was so bad? Like the roaches were so bad that when they opened the fridge, I used to do like CPS work. I used to go in homes and be like, okay, yeah, this place is pretty bad. This place is bad. And the moment I'll step into the home, into the domicile, I would already have roaches on my freaking notepad, trying to take notes. I was like, oh, get the shit out. What the? I was like, this bad guy. This bad. I just stepped inside. There's already roaches on my notepad. We got more to go through in this house. It's already not looking good. The guy takes me into the kitchen. And it was a freaking nightmare. The wall was animated. The wall was moving. The counter was moving. When he opened the fridge, the freezer, mind you, they fell out like it was a waterfall of roaches. It looked fluid. I looked at him and was like, your kids are out of this home. You understand that, right? Like, your kids are out of this home. They're going to go stay with their grandma or wherever. They're out. You need to fumigate the hell out of this place. Many times. Burn it down. Your house is done. Because you gassed it all. They're in the walls. You're going to have the gas between the walls. That's how bad it is. Oh, disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Now that's an apartment. Imagine a car. Have you ever seen a situation so bad? Have you ever seen a situation so bad where the car gets infested? In 2017, a woman in Florida, of course it's Florida, purchased a used car and soon discovered that it was infested with roaches. She bought this used car, probably from CarMax. Okay. 2017, could be CarMax, yeah. And I guess I didn't really check. I guess I didn't really care. There you go. There's your car. Yeah. Go take it home. I guess on the ride home, roaches start just crawling out of the seat all over on the steering wheel. Oh, and she's like, freaking out. The fact that she didn't get an auto accident on the way home is amazing. Because really the story should be, woman found dead in auto accident after roaches like flooded the steering wheel. Because imagine a woman driver, and all of a sudden there's roaches all over the steering wheel. She's freaking out. She's freaking out. Don't know what to do. They're all over. They're all over. They're everywhere. Ah! That's a used car. No, I probably didn't go that far. It probably didn't go that way. I mean, maybe it said she purchased it. So the transaction was already done. The insects were found in the air conditioning vents, dashboard, and even inside the transmission. The woman had to spend over $4,000 to have the car fumigated and repaired. And the transmission. Like, roaches go where there's food. Normally. Like, this car had to have been a filthy fucking piece of shit. Like, how do roaches just infest that, like, the AC? I guess what are they eating at that point? Like, the crumbs that dropped from the Little Debbie's donuts or whatever the person was eating. It's insane. It's flat out insane to me. It makes no sense. So at this point, for those watching right now, watching the Deadman horror show, like I said, some episodes we talk about serial killers. Some episodes we talk about cannibalism. There was actually a couple episodes about that. Some episodes we talk about insane people marrying and trying to have sex with ghosts. At this point, I've dropped so many fuck bombs. Let's just say it. We did an episode about penal. People claiming to have anal sex with ghosts. That doesn't even make any sense to me. But, people claim that. We did an episode about a girl that was raised as a wolf. Okay? I felt like today we'll take a break and do an episode about roaches. But, I feel so disgusted. I feel more disgusted doing this episode than I did talking about, people eating, people enjoying cannibalism. Okay? So, those who are watching live, tell me your insane roach story. Tell it. Say it. I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to read it. I want to have that back and forth. But we still have more to go through. We still have some more. I mean, that's what the point of this stream is. It's going to disgust the fuck out of you if you don't like it. Someone mentioned meth in the chat. That takes me to a rant related to roaches. One thing I quickly learned as a social worker, when you're driving through the county, you see all these homes, these trailers and wooden homes, all like all dilapidated and run down and stuff. Every single one of those places is absolutely infested. And there's people living inside that gave up and don't give a shit. And they are most certainly on meth. They are most certainly either on meth, had used meth, or on some other sort of drug that helps them not give a damn about the swarm of roaches all over them. And we're talking about a swarm so bad they go down to itch their balls. They're coming out with freaking roach legs. That's how bad it is. That's the state of America. Okay. Dodd says he has a YouTube link that is related. Feel free to drop it. A story of the poop cruise. So this is not a poop stream, Zod. It's a roach stream. But we may get into this. I will have it on the ready. I will have it on the ready. I appreciate the assistance there. The poop cruise. Oh, that's too much. That's too much. All right. Another story. This was insane. In 2020, a Japanese artist named Yuta Ito created a series of sculptures made entirely out of dead roaches. I didn't know they even had a roach problem in Japan. Well, it makes sense, actually. It's hot and humid there. Of course they would. Of course they would. I know they're very cleanly, but it's hot and humid, and you're not stopping roaches. You're just not stopping. So, yeah, they're there. So, this Japanese guy, Yuta Ito, is that a female? Is that a guy? I can't tell. But made sculptures entirely out of dead roaches. That is disgusting. The pieces were displayed in a gallery featuring dead roaches arranged in different poses. Okay, for this one, we need to get some images of this. Like this, I need to see this. I'm having a hard time mentally picturing sculptures of dead roaches. Let's see. Imagine the time you have to be coming out with sculptures of dead roaches. Is this story fake? It's just something that's coming up. Out of all the things. Out of all the things. We're going to find some pictures. Find some pictures. There's a Japanese man dated a cockroach for a year and then ate it. There's that story. Well, geez, that is freaking insane too. What the fuck? Was not expecting that. Oh, there we go. Is that it? Dead roach sculptures? Oh, shit. It's like of Godzilla or some shit. What the hell? What is this? What is this? Here, I'm going to put this on the screen. Ah. No. No. You see that? That's a sculpture of Godzilla made out of dead roaches. No. Absolutely not. Never. Never. Oh, this other story, though. Japanese man dates cockroach for a year, claims she was the love of his life, and then eats it. What more is there to read than the freaking headline? That's just insane. I don't... Oh, God. Oh, that one messed with me. That one messed with me a little bit. That one went too far. It was too much. That one did. Not the obese woman that was still alive, but her legs were decomposing and all these roaches were eating them. Not that, but the dating the roach and then eating the roach, because that's just choosing to be stupid on purpose. The obese woman, she was laying there, like left there to shit and piss herself, and she was neglected. Okay, all right, that was horrible. That's horrible. Okay. Now, let's get into some stories of true horror. Well, there's true horror. There's some of these stories we already shared. Let's go deeper. Let's get into some weirder areas with roaches. A roach colony in a woman's ear. In 2019, a woman in Florida went to the emergency room complaining of a severe earache. Doctors discovered that her ear was filled with a live roach colony, which had apparently crawled inside when she was sleeping. The insects were removed using a combination of suction and forceps. Now, a colony? That sounds played up. It was probably one. It had to have been one roach. There's no way there was more than one roach in a woman's ear. It doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't even make any sense. Unless they're like the small roaches. Okay? Once they go too far, there's no more room for them to get into. They can't just crawl into your brain. I don't think they can squeeze in that far. I did find a story about a roach found in a woman's ass. It was a Reddit post. A woman in her 20s was watching The Office, as a lot of women do, and she reached down and started scratching her ass, got into the crack a little bit, kind of weird that she disclosed that, pulled her hands out, and there were some roach legs right there. Disgusting. Gross. Filthy. In 2020, a restaurant in Georgia was shut down after health inspectors found a massive roach infestation in the kitchen and storage areas. So if you go to Georgia and go eat anywhere, actually, this is helpful anywhere, actually. When you're going out to eat, just know there's probably a good chance that place is a shithole in the back. In the front, it might look all nice and decorated and all that, well maintained. But in the back, it's probably a shithole, very dirty. It probably is only clean to get past health inspection. And then when it's time to operate, don't give a fuck. Whatever happens, happens. If there's a bug, there's a bug. And just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. The insects were crawling on the food, the dishes, cooking equipment. The restaurant was fined, ordered to close until the infestation was eradicated. This story may not be so surprising for you, this next one. In 2021, a hospital in India, that's right, India, so you already know it's not looking too good here. A hospital in India was shut down after patients complained of several roach infestations, like a humongous one. Roaches found in the wards, operating rooms, even in patients' beds. Hospital was closed for several days until they got it taken care of. By taken care of by India standards means they reduced it by a few. Let's be honest, India. It's India. Not the cleanliest people. Far from it. I mean, they wipe their hands with their ass. They wipe their ass with their hands. Sorry. I've been talking. My mind is... And I'll get to your stories in the chat. There's one more story. This one I found before I went live. I was like, what are we talking about here? So, this one's also in Georgia. This is about an inmate eaten alive by bugs, by roaches in a filthy cell. I'm looking at this on the New York Post. That's back in 2023, so not that long ago. It was only in April. The heartbroken family in Georgia of a Georgia inmate on Friday called a criminal investigation to his death behind bars last fall, alleging that he was eaten alive by bugs in his filthy cell. LaShawn Thompson, you already know what she looks like. You know, there's just some names, and you have a mental image that is 99% accurate. Like if I say Thomas Jefferson or Eric Johnson or Tomomi Morizaki. If I say those names, you already have a mental picture. Right? So, LaShawn Thompson. Yep. And with that last name, she was, well, she may be able to protest. She may actually be able to claim reparations with that last name. I'm just saying. was found unresponsive in his cell. And the psychiatric, LaShawn Thompson. Sorry. Wow. This whole time I was thinking it was a woman. Oh, that's right. I was looking at it and thinking LaShawna or whatever. No, LaShawn Thompson is a guy. Unresponsive in his cell in a psychiatric ward at Fulton County Jail. That's September 13th. Michael D. Harper, an attorney for Thompson, for the family, wrote in a statement shared with the Post Friday that Thompson had been in custody since he was arrested for misdemeanor simple battery in June. 3 months later, Mr. Thompson was found dead in a filthy jail cell after being eaten alive by insects and bed bugs. By roaches and bed bugs. All sorts of bugs. It was a buffet. There was a buffet in there. I'm just like, so the guy is in a cell. He's in a cell. And he's just lying there, being slowly consumed by bugs. This isn't really making sense to me, you know? This is a real story, and then I'm reading it. But I wonder if this is a real story about the details. Like, I wonder if it's like played up here. Come on. I mean, if you're in a cell and bugs are biting you, aren't you not complaining? Like, would you be sleeping? But I guess who could you complain to, right? You think the guards aren't going to give a damn? Damn, dude. 3 months later, Thompson was found dead in a filthy jail cell after being eaten alive by insects and bedbugs. When his body was found, one of the detention officers refused to administer CPR because, in her words, she freaked out. And the jail cell Mr. Thompson was housed was not fit for a deceased animal. So this cell was so bad, even the guards wouldn't even get near it. But somehow, some of them did. To throw his ass in there. Holy shit. This is a crazy story. What the hell? I mean, those bugs they like the dark meat. I mean, that's what's going on. They weren't stopping. Let's see. Disturbing photographs attached to Harper's statement show Thompson's cell. Okay. Can we find one of these photographs? They include it in this article. All right, I'm gonna put this on the screen. It looks bad, but it doesn't look as bad as I've seen worse than this. I've seen families living in worse conditions than this. I put this on the screen. This is what we're talking about. Here's the photo. Okay, there's the shitter and the sink. It's all the one thing, you know. There's shit smeared right there. Apparently the guy didn't aim his feces and piss and all that. There's like plastic spoons and shit. I don't see bugs on the walls, you know. I've seen worse. This doesn't even look that bad. I see a lot of bugs on the floor, but I've seen worse. I've literally seen houses firsthand with kids living in them where roaches were having orgies on the wall, in the corner, on the ceiling, on the floor. It was all over the place. They were raining from the ceiling. So that looks bad, but I've seen worse. So really, I mean, okay. Maybe that's what the cell looks like after they cleaned it up just a little bit, so they can get in there and take a photo. I wonder if there's something worse. I want to take a moment to see if we can find if there's other photos that are maybe too disgusting to put up there. Looking for it now. Don't see it. I see his body with all sorts of bug bites all over it. But, like, wait, hold on. I'm going to put this on the screen. They say eaten alive, and I expect to see a bone. You know, I expect to see flesh off the bone. This may violate TOS. It's not bad, really. If you look at it, it actually looks like a bad case of like a rash. It looks like a rash. Okay? Like, I put this on the screen here. Let's just do it. Let's just put it on the screen. There, you see that? See that? Oh, it's this one right here. I mean, it's a lot of little bites. Sure. But is that getting bitten that many times? Is that really does that kill you? I mean, does your body go into some sort of shock after all that? You said eaten alive. I expected it to be like a horror movie and be like flesh off the... Like, okay. What the hell? I was reading this article and it made it seem like this could be this insane, crazy horror story. But I feel like it's not what they said it is. Something else going on here. So guys, that is the one story out of a few that might be fake here tonight. Some of these stories, I told you, there's like two that may or may not be so real. But the first one was most definitely real. The woman with her legs decomposing and being eaten alive by roaches, that one was real. That one was real. That one's horrible. And the stories I shared with you for my own personal account, 100% real. All right, now I want to take this moment and go through chat. Reminder, I asked you, what is the most horrible, insane roach story you have personally? So let's take a look here. Let's take a look through the chat, see if anyone dropped anything. And that's right, there is the poop cruise that Zod wanted me to show. I will get that link and put it on the screen here a little bit. First, let's go to the chat. I need to go to the chat anyway. That link I copied. Well, I don't have it anymore, so. Alrighty. As we're wrapping this show up here, this episode of the Deadman Horror Show. I know there's other things that are probably on your mind, like the Thorpes. That is a family that is most certainly a topic suitable for a horror show. I'm going to take some time to go over their stuff again, personally, get some clips to tell the story as it should be told. It's like a shining waiting to happen. It really is.
When you think of everything that...
There's going to be a murder-suicide with that family. It's going to be horrible. I say it, but it is just another day in the Thor family. All right, so let's take a look here to the chat. Anyone share any roach stories? Brucey says, I saw a pregnant woman smoking meth while breastfeeding. Well, that's roach related. If a woman is smoking meth while breastfeeding, I guarantee you there's roaches in the house. And there's probably roaches in the baby's diaper. Guarantee you, I will go all in on that bet. Let's see. Any roach stories, guys? Someone said it looks like poop art. Oh, okay. You're talking about the Godzilla thing. Some drug references about dealers. Okay. Whenever you go meet your dealer, if for some reason he's like a low-end dealer and he uses his own apartment for the transactions, which, the low-end ones do that because they're stupid, they live in squalor, and it's horrible. There's roaches all over the place, and it's just disgusting. I saw that once. I was like, dude, I'm not buying shit from you again. Actually, I don't even want to continue this transaction. This is horrible. This is disgusting. Stop this. And when I say me, I'm referring to a character because I obviously would never do that because that would be illegal in Texas. So, and I'm a Boy Scout. I don't do anything bad. I just want to show another man in Rhode Island my gardening tools and then, run him over with my Harley Davidson. By run him over, I mean run into his house and say you can have a ride. Fake. Zod says cockroach abortion. Have there ever been cockroach abortions? You mean like a baby that dies from a roach? That's a good question, Zod. And you know what? I'm pretty sure there has been. If there's a will, there's a way. Roaches are in everything. You're telling me there hasn't been a situation where a roach infested a pussy and then, because they could probably could a roach live in a vagina? Could a roach live in a vagina? Honestly, it's very acidic in there. I think the roach could not survive that environment. That might be the one place it could not survive in. Roaches can thrive in just about any environment. It can be radiated. They don't give a fuck. They're going to live. They lived longer than we have. And they're going to continue to live after we're gone. We're going to wipe each other out in some sort of nuclear warfare. It'd be a nuclear holocaust. It'd be so sad. It'd be horrible. That'd be the worst thing ever. But after we're all dead, roaches will still be around. But the one place they can't live in is probably a vagina. Let me fact check that though. Can a roach live in a vagina? Google. This is for science. Doctors. Oh. Well, I was wrong. I sit corrected. I can't stand. I don't have legs. I just read the headline though. It says, okay. The New York Post, the Daily Mail have something on this. Gynecologist, which is a vagina doctor, revealed, I don't even know why I had to specify that, most shocking things he found in a vagina. You don't say, huh? The most shocking things. What are these shocking things you say? Well, let's get into that. Let's see. Does he... I'll go to the article here because he talks about a lot of things. Okay. Let's get into the middle of the article here. A subsequent inspection revealed that the shocking culprit behind the woman's discomfort. The doctor says, when I introduced the speculum, I could see that it was an insect. In fact, I had to take out something like a cockroach. There was a cockroach inside the vagina. Let's continue on and see if it was living. This marked a first for the seasoned doctor. I mean, I would imagine so. I'd imagine it's not a common occurrence. Who had previously discovered everything from condoms to sex toys inside a female, organ. That's going to happen. That's the regular cheese. It's yet unclear how the roach which was reportedly dead before he removed it. Oh, well, it did die. So actually, I'm not corrected sitting down as I am. I mean, a roach can enter the vagina, but it's so acidic it's going to die. So going to your question, Zod, which I don't think was a question, honestly. That was probably just a random comment, and you probably weren't asking for me to go on this random tangent related to roaches. No one probably was, but we're here now. That's where we are. That's what we're doing. Could there be a cockroach involved abortion? No. Chances are the roach is going to die due to the acidic nature of the vagina before it crawls into the depths it would have to go into the uterus, and then somehow then no, it's not going to get to it's just not going to get that far. It's just not going to get that far. It's not going to be possible for it to get that far. It's just not. The muscle would be too much for it to get through. No, it's just not happening. So no, it would be impossible for a roach involved abortion. However, if you mean late term, that is possible. A roach could definitely get into a crib and get into a kid's mouth and suffocate it. If cats can kill babies and toddlers by just sitting on them and suffocating them, which cats do, cats are evil creatures. Cats are spawns of Satan. Cats love killing kids. It's been documented. I'm not making this up. There's been situations where cats will smother a child. Okay? If you have a little baby and you have a little, a cat, don't put them in the same room. Not a good idea. Not alone anyway. So, yeah. There's that. But, anyway. That was a crazy story. And I've sidetracked so much. But it's all related to the theme here tonight, which is of roach horror stories. Okay? How much did Zod 19 pay for his wrench? Zod 19 has a wrench because he earned it. Chanel. So, with that said, I think now it's time to go to the poop cruise. Let's wrap this disgusting stream up with a story that is even more disgusting than roaches. And that is just feces all over the place. Here we have the poop cruise. I have not seen this before. I don't know what's going to happen. It's 14 minutes long. Hopefully, it's entertaining.
That could go wrong on a cruise liner. I bet being asked to poop in a biohazard bag falls pretty low on that list. But for more than 3,000 passengers aboard the Carnival Triumph, that became a daily reality. Feces-covered walls, food fights, and a sprawling tent city on the decks earned the cruise its infamous name, the Poop Cruise from Hell.
So all of the passengers had to poop in biohazard bags? At that point, you turn around and you go the fuck back home. The cruise is canceled. You can't do that. You cannot do that. That is not safe. That is a nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
Hell. The Triumph, billed as the pride of the Carnival Group, is the length of 3 football fields. Boasts 13 decks with...
No, man, I didn't take the shit bags. No. I play a character called the Brat Man. Okay? Not. No. Gross. Oh.
4 swimming pools.
It's all front. I actually did it. I stole all the bags. I smeared them. I was the reason why they actually had the shit in the bags. The toilets were sabotaged by me. I did it. 100%. I'm just confessing to this crime. And I was so happy. There's poop everywhere. It was smeared on the walls, on the floor. They're flinging around. And because it was on a cruise, people were motion sickness. Had motion sickness and some diarrhea. It was just not good. It was just watery shits all over the place.
7 whirlpools and a massive casino floor. On board
That's kind of hard to get into, yeah.
Carnival's fun ship, expectations were high. Sadly, this ill-fated trip would make memories for very different reasons. The Triumph set sail from Galveston, Texas for the Gulf of
Shit. I mean, that's where it's going to start regardless. Galveston, Texas. That's already where it's going to start. But, okay.
Mexico on Thursday, February 7th, 2013, for what was thought to be a 4-day cruise. Initially,
it's all business as usual. If at first, until that damn Mr. Deadman was on there clogging up the toilets.
It was all plain sailing, with late-night parties, onboard entertainment, great weather, and mouth-watering buffets for the guests. The highlight of the cruise was set to be a stop in Cozumel, Mexico. Here, passengers could disembark, frolic in azure waters, shop to their heart's delight, and return for a night of festive onboard activities. In reality, after departing Cozumel for the return trip to Galveston, the cruise took a turn for the worse.
Oh, so that's when everything went to shit.
In the early hours of Sunday, February 10th, a fire alarm echoed through the ship, with the Alpha Team call booming over the PA system shortly after 5:20.
Alpha Team, our shitter's fucked. Our shitter's fucked. There's a crazy man with a cowboy hat with blue aviators. I don't know how he did it, but he fucked up our septic system.
8 a.m. The Alpha Team announcement, the code used for a fire emergency aboard Carnival vessels, left many holidaymakers panicked. Guests on the first and second decks opened their doors to find smoke-filled hallways. Chaos broke out, with passengers scrambling for life jackets and frantically
that's right, there was a fire.
searching for friends and loved ones. On the top deck, black smoke was billowing from the smokestack. The Alpha Team alert led to panic among passengers, with some heading to evacuation stations once they heard no further information or instructions. While the announcements called for calm, guests were left in the dark about the extent of the fire.
Folks, there's no need to be at the muster stations. We do ask at this time that you do proceed back to your staterooms, back to your cabins. As I say, there is a situation in the engine control room.
Just a little situation. Everything's going to be fine, guys. Don't worry. Don't worry. You're definitely not going to have to shit in biohazard bags. Oh, wait.
But it is under control, so we do ask that you please make your way back to your cabins at this time. There's no need to be waiting in the muster stations. Thank you.
Soon after the initial announcement,
Did they get like a refund for this? Did they get anything out of this?
ship's lights flickered before it lost all power,
it's like a back rooms.
except for the emergency lights. The blaze, which was contained in the engine room through an automatic fire suppression system, was reportedly quelled by 6:08 a.m. Unfortunately, the fire had knocked out most of the ship's power and disabled the propulsion system, leaving the 3,143 passengers and close to 1,100 staff stranded in the Gulf of Mexico. But there was a plan. 2 tugboats set course for the stricken vessel to tow it to the nearest port of Progreso, Mexico.
Progreso, Mexico. That's a funny name, huh? Progreso. But okay, so they couldn't go anywhere. So they need tugboats to move them. Okay.
Passengers breathed a sigh of relief and started taking off their life vests. Docking by Tuesday, they were told. Little did they know, another 4 days would pass before anyone set foot on land again. By mid-morning on Sunday, passengers realized it wasn't just the propulsion system that died. the air conditioning, running water, elevators, and, worst of all, the septic system had also failed. That's
Oh God, that's horrible. Oh, that's a freaking nightmare. You can't go anywhere. No running water. No AC. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh man. Oh, most definitely am not going to take a cruise anytime soon. Oh, it went wrong. It went horribly south. It did.
when the cruise director
All hot and humid. You gotta shit. You can't shit anywhere. You're miserable. There's no running water. You just want to get off. You just want to go. And you're stranded there, right? So it wasn't supposed to take that long. Your vacation time was probably already... You're probably riding that line on your vacation time where you're supposed to, like, I've already returned home to go back to work. It's just horrible. It's hell. LimeWire just has been through worse. You have? Yeah, you've been on a cruise. You've been on a cruise with no AC, no running water, no septic system, and you had the shit in biohazard bags. I want to hear your worse. I want to hear what's worse than that. Oh, I know what it is. It's related to the topic of the stream, which is the cruise is also roach infested. It's insane, but yeah, it just was infested with roaches and rats. There's even snakes there. LimeWire suggests as they extend the vacation time due to emergencies. If you work with a company that's like, understanding, yeah, maybe. But there's other factors like school, if you have kids and stuff, arrangements. There's a lot of things, okay, that go, they have to factor in that. You would love that, Bratman? I would hate that, okay? There's only so much I could go with that character. I would absolutely hate that.
director delivered a message that left passengers horrified.
We're going to deliver some red bags to your cabins, to the bathrooms if you can. If you need to do a number 2, you need a poop, please do it in the red bag and drop it off in the bins, in the corridors. And if you need to do a number 1, that's a wee, please do it in the shower. Thank you, folks, and I'll be back with any more.
Go wee in the shower. Just go wee in the shower. So I already do that. I pee in my backyard. I pee in my neighbor's backyard. I pee wherever. I pee on my neighbor's house in the front yard at night. Okay. I guess I am a savage.
Updated info.
This announcement came when toilets were already clogged due to lack of flushing facilities in the private cabins and public restrooms. The now infamous red poop bags were just too much to bear for many passengers.
People were using the restroom in little red plastic bags and throwing them out into the hallway.
We were in shock. We were like, I'm not using a red bag.
The thing is you just don't eat.
The Triumph stabilizers also took a hit from the fire, causing the vessel to list heavily. Passengers reported clutching walls to keep their balance. But worst of all, toilets overflowed and spilled into halls, seeping through walls to floors each time the ship tilted with the wind. Before long, images emerged of sewage-sodden carpets.
Oh, that's gross. Oh, shit. Oh, God. I want my money back. If I was on this cruise, you better give me my fucking money back. 100% of it. Holy shit.
Bins lined with red bags, and in some cases,
like, this is to kind of skip to the end to see if there's a resolution.
Erupting toilets. Depending on where the drains in the bathroom were, water and fecal matter came back up, pooling in there and overflowing into the cabins. With temperatures soaring and the foul stench of human waste permeating the cabin.
Oh, I didn't even think about the stench. Holy shit. Oh my God, LimeWire just, if you've been in a worse situation, oh my God, I don't even want to imagine this, because this right here is so bad. Holy hell. Holy hell. On top of that, yeah, it's fucking hot. It's humid. The toilets aren't working. They're overflowing. Sewage water's everywhere. It's in the carpets. And it's gonna be reeking. Oh. And you can't go the fuck anywhere. At that point, I'd be like, give me a fucking lifeboat. Give me a lifeboat and a paddle. I'm getting the fuck off this thing. I want a lifeboat. I want a paddle. And I just want to go. Like, where are the emergency jet skis at? Can I just get on an emergency jet ski and just escape? Can I just evacuate? Can I just find a way? Actually, at that point, I would just put on a life vest, hop overboard, and hope for the best. If I get eaten by a shark, at that point, who the fuck cares at that point? Just swim.
Decks. Many guests dragged their mattresses to outside decks to escape the odors and sweltering heat. The news outlets were quick to react, sending helicopters out to the crippled ship. Soon, images...
They'll send helicopters out to do what? Take photos and video, but they won't send the big helicopters out to start, taking people off the ship, and they won't do that. Or were they? I mean,
of what would become known as Tent City flooded news channels as passengers started using bed sheets, towels, and rope to construct makeshift accommodations on the tanning deck. In a bold attempt to quell the passengers' mounting frustrations, Carnival decided to host an open bar, offering free beer and wine after the fire.
Oh no, now they're gonna be drunk?
The bar service was to run from afternoon until midnight, but turned out to be a terrible decision. With drinks flowing freely, several passengers became obnoxious and intoxicated, lobbing objects into the water and messing up the restrooms. By Tuesday morning, when both tugboats finally arrived, the vessel had drifted more than 90 miles north, meaning that Progresso was no longer the closest port. The decision was made to tow the 102,000-ton behemoth to Mobile, Alabama, adding another 2 days to their journey. On the bright side, returning...
You were supposed to go back to Galveston. Oh, now you're going to Alabama. Oh, my God. Oh, but LimeWire, just in the chat. Oh, it's just an inconvenience. It's just an inconvenience. They'll extend your vacation time. You'll be fine. Yeah.
To the U.S. would ease re-entry for the 900 passengers traveling without passports. However, the added delay risked one passenger's life. Rachel Alderet, urgently requiring dialysis, became the first of only 2 people evacuated by the Coast Guard.
They got the Coast Guards and transferred me to another boat, another ship, sent me to Cozumel to do dialysis on Tuesday. It was hard. It was scary. It was, oh my God. It was just scary the way they put me down. They put me in a stair rope, and the Coast Guard said that don't worry about it, that they would catch me and they were going to hold me back, and they did. And then they transferred me to the bigger boat, and
Coast Guard saving the day. I guess Coast Guard does do something.
The following day, a second passenger was taken off the ship because of a pre-existing medical condition. Both were moved to other Carnival ships that had diverted.
There was a gun on that. Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Their courses to assist with the rescue mission. Passengers commended the crew for doing everything they could to meet the travelers' needs. but that the toilet situation had been trying at best.
Now that is the problem with the boat, is that the toilets have not worked, and they ended up having to issue us these we call them the red bags, and that is what's been used almost exclusively for the first 2 days after the fire.
Conditions on board rapidly deteriorated during that time, and food was reportedly running out.
Oh,
Dwindling food supplies forced passengers to queue for hours for cold onion and cucumber sandwiches.
Oh, man, that's gross.
One passenger described scenes reminiscent of the Hunger Games as fights erupted over dwindling provisions.
And they would gripe at...
Oh, man, that's so gross. That's so gross. That is so disgusting, man.
You or other people would practically cuss you out because you would have multiples, but you're trying to get for your whole cabin, so everybody wasn't standing in line.
3 other Carnival liners, Elation, Conquest, and Legend, performed impressive maneuvers to drop off provisions and supplies to the weary passengers. Transfers were hampered by winds as high as 35 knots and a sea swell of up to 6 feet. The tugboats, clearly lacking the muscle to pull a ship of Triumph's size adequately, only managed a leisurely pace of about 5 miles per hour.
Oh, man.
Naturally, it didn't help that the tow line snapped several times.
It just gets worse. I think it just gets worse.
During the process, major news networks
what can fuck up now? Just you wait.
reported on Triumph's arduous journey to Mobile with around-the-clock coverage of the so-called floating petri dish. On Wednesday, February 13th, Tent City had to be dismantled to make way for an incoming chopper delivering much-needed supplies and equipment. By Thursday, the mood aboard seemed to get a little lighter after the food drop and the arrival of a generator that promised the luxury of hot meals. By this time, sanitary facilities were restored to parts of the ship, and passengers had access to power outlets to charge their cell phones. For many
that's right. Because they couldn't charge them because there was no power. Shit.
passengers, staying in contact with loved ones had been a battle.
Oh my God! Look at this fucking dude. That's insane. That's like a fire hazard, right?
We've spent the past 2 days about 4 to 5 hours a day charging our phone so we can at least have the opportunity to talk. The only time we get cell reception is if one of the other cruise ships comes close enough to us. So we've all been frantically charging, and we've actually rigged charging stations from ship computers to try to I'm sure we're going to blow up the ship doing it.
In Mobile,
is that really the worst thing that's going to happen? I mean, honestly.
Worried family and friends gathered at the port, anxiously awaiting the first glimpses of the Triumph and their loved ones.
She said it was terrible. She said, Mama, when everybody get off this bus, everyone's probably going to have a little psychological help.
The Triumph was the
I imagine so. I mean, like you're not going to get on another cruise ever again. You're going to be horrified by this. You might even get sick from all this.
Largest cruise ship ever to dock at Mobile, and its final leg into the port required more than 6 grueling hours of careful nighttime maneuvering as 4 tugboats ushered it up a 30-mile ship channel across the shallow bay. The passengers finally started disembarking at about 10 p.m. on Thursday. Carnival CEO Gary Cahill was among the many waiting at the port.
All right. Please tell me there was a resolution. Please tell me they got their money back. Not some partial bullshit. Not some like, well, most of your trip was fine. It was just, the last few weeks was not, or the last week was not, okay? Or it was really just be a couple of days, but it turned out to be a week. Actually, honestly, you actually had more stay on the Carnival cruise, so actually you owe us money. I hope it's not like that.
He thanked the crew on board the vessel for their tireless efforts to keep the passengers comfortable and apologized to everyone for the situation.
And I'd like to reiterate...
I'm sorry. you say you're sorry, but can you speak this in a way that I understand? Money. I paid for a vacation, and I went through hell. So money.
The apology I made earlier, I know the conditions on board were very poor. I know it was very difficult, and I want to apologize again for subjecting our guests to that. We pride ourselves in providing our guests with a great vacation experience, and clearly we failed in this particular case.
But there was still more trouble in store for the passengers.
More trouble?
In the Carnival ticket's small print, the cruise line added a protection clause. If the performance of the proposed voyage is hindered or prevented by breakdown of the vessel, Carnival may cancel the proposed voyage without liability to refund passage money or fares paid.
Whoa. If the performance of the proposed voyage is hindered or prevented by the breakdown of the vessel. Okay. So if something breaks down and hinders it, Carnival may cancel the proposed voyage without liability to refund. So how can you cancel the voyage but also not refund the passengers money? Oh, that is some fucking bullshit. That doesn't even make any sense. I paid you money for a vacation. I paid you money to take me to a destination within a certain time. There's all these things that happen that's nice. And then to come back where I started within a reasonable amount of time. Actually, within the time. And you failed to do that? You failed to deliver that? You failed to make that happen? Oh, it's out of your hands? Oh, I get that. Mistakes happen. Okay. Well, there was a mistake, man. You failed. I paid you for a service and you failed. I think my money needs to come back to me. That is some fucking bullshit. But please tell me there is some good news, because this is looking really bad.
In advance. Despite this, each passenger received $500, a free flight home, a full refund for their trip.
Okay. Oh, that's good. $500, a full refund for the trip, and a free flight home. Well, there you go.
And reimbursed most expenses on board, as well as a full credit for...
There you go. All righty. There is a resolution to this. At that point, I'm like, you can't take back that horrible experience, but you helped. You helped heal my wounds.
Another cruise. This didn't stop passengers from filing a slew of lawsuits within hours of reaching land.
Man, I get that. They probably want more, but if you got your money back and you got additional money on top of that and you got a free flight home and all that stuff, like at that point, it's kind of like, well, you got it. You got it. Yeah.
However, their chances of claiming compensation were slim to none unless they suffered a personal injury. Carnival ended up awarding $118,500 in damages to 27 passengers for doctors and hospital costs related to the ill-fated cruise. But the ship's woes continued. While it was moored for repairs in Mobile, the vessel broke free, drifting across the...
Well, at that point, the passengers are gone. The poop vessel, I mean, what happens? Does it drift afar and it becomes like a ghost ship? It's like the ghost poop ship. That'd be something.
Mobile River and colliding with a tethered dredge. A responding towboat became pinned between the cruise ship and the dredge. Tragically, one person died and another was injured. As for the fire's cause, Carnival asserted that a fuel leak in the engine room sparked the...
Yeah, a fuel leak. But who caused the fuel leak? They'll never know.
blaze. But many feel that negligence was the real cause of the blaze. In just 2 years, the group reported 9 incidents involving fuel leaks linked to flexible fuel lines. In January 2013, Carnival gave ships 2 months to install spray shields for all diesel engines using flexible lines. However, the Triumph failed to shield a hose that wound up causing the infamous poop cruise in February. It was found that the fuel hose that caused the fire was located underneath the deck plates, which they believed would be sufficient to provide a shield. Of course, it turned out not to be sufficient, as the engine room fire broke out as a direct result of the unshielded fuel line. In addition to fixing the fire damage, Carnival added new technical features to prevent a sequel. They spent $115 million on clean.
That is good and all, but I've seen enough to not trust a cruise ever. I do not feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable being on a floating petri dish. Okay, I don't feel comfortable being on a big giant boat like that with a bunch of other people, and it just seems so vulnerable. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. That's not ideal for a vacation at all. I don't want to be in that situation. No. That would make my anxiety go through the roof. Screw that. Now, we started the stream talking about roaches. We ended up talking about the poop cruise. Roaches and poop cruise. Roaches and poop cruise. Very disgusting. Both very disgusting, horrifying things. Next week, if able, within that time, we may explore the more horrific sides, the really dark sides of the Thorpe family. Or we may explore a serial killer I've been wanting to talk about for a while by the name of Dean Carl, the Candyman. He was a raging homosexual that killed a lot of boys. Okay? They called him the Candyman because he would give out candy to a lot of kids. I'll see which way we go. Anyway, with that said, you guys take it easy. Have a good one.
Let's face it, the dollar just isn't what it used to be. That's why people like you and me, we got to be careful to get the most value for our money. That's why I come here, Taco Bell. I can feed my whole family for $5.59. 2 tacos, 2 bean burritos, 2 tostadas, pintos and cheese, soft drinks, only $5.59. Like they're saying, Taco Bell. What a meal, what a deal. No kidding.
Taco Bell.